Hi everybody, in this video let us understand about pandas package and how it can be used for doing exploratory data analysis when we have got some data in a file. So here I have prepared a Jupyter notebook which I'll be sharing in the GitHub, and the link also will be provided in the description box. We are going to basically work with this particular file which contains results of students who have appeared for 10th examination. This is just a hypothetical imaginary data set which contains totally 11 fields, and the field names are not present. This is also a way in which data set will be present. The field names or the column names will not be available. And you can see here each field is separated by a semicolon, and the first field indicates the region in which the student has appeared for the examination. Totally there are 6 regions, A to F, and next one is going to be the roll number with which the student has appeared for the examination, and the next field is the marks secured in first language. This is the marks secured in second language. Next one is the marks secured in mathematics, science, and then marks secured in social science. This is the total marks secured by the student, and next field will indicate whether the student has passed or failed. P will indicate that the student has passed, and fail is not explicitly given in this data set. We have to take care when we are doing the analysis. So if you see that this is empty, this is there is no value for that particular field, because this student, when we look at the marks, he has scored 16, 28 and all, which is not a pass mark. So he has not passed the examination and it is not present, so no result is present. And next field is about the withheld. For certain cases the results were withheld. For this particular person it is not so. And then we are saying that one more field indicating some extra values. I'll be sharing this data set also in the GitHub for you to practice. So this is the data set with which we are going to work, and this is the frame, this is the Jupyter notebook, and I have loaded this in Google Colab. Hope every one of us know it. I'll just tell how to do it. Go and type Colab in Google, and it will take you to the first link where you will be having Google's Colaboratory. With a Gmail account, all of us can work with Google Colab, and this notebook you can download from GitHub and you can save it in a particular location, and then you have to click this open notebook option, and not open notebook, you should go to the option upload notebook. So when you click upload notebook, this is present in your local machine. So you click the choose file option and go to the location where the notebook is saved, and then you can open it. This is how you have to open, and you have to work with the notebook which is shared. Now the first cell, these are all the cells. Basically, as we know, there are 2 types of cells in Colab or Jupyter notebook also, text cell and code cell. Text cell will contain some textual information which will be shared between people, and code is going to contain the actual code. Here we have in the first cell, this is a code cell where we have imported the pandas and the numpy. So the shortcut names, the universally followed names are used here. Import pandas as PD and numpy as NP. We can run this cell. I have used Shift Enter for running this cell, or you can click on this particular run button also. Now I am going to delete this empty cell that was accidentally inserted. Next, what we are going to do is we are going to see how you can create a data frame. Data frame is the basic entity of pandas. It is a two-dimensional thing. It is like a tabular column where we have got rows and columns. It will be easy for us to work with. So from the files we can create a data frame. So when you see what are the types of files that we can work with CSV files. So when you want to create a data frame from a CSV file, we have to use this read CSV function, and when we have to create a data frame using Excel file, we have to use this read underscore Excel function. For text files, we have got read underscore table function, and now we are going to use read underscore CSV. Though it is a TXT file, we can use read CSV also. So I am using here read CSV file. I am giving the name of the file and then what separator, because CSV file means by default it will expect comma to be the separator. Here the separator is different. If it is other than comma, then we have to mention it using the keyword argument SCP, and we are indicating here the separator is semicolon. Why I have given this header equal to none is, as we have seen in the data set, there is no column names at all. If you have got column names, then that will be taken as header. So the generally how pandas will look into it is, when we are reading a file, it will think the first row is having the column names. So it will try to give the value in each of the column as the first each of the value in the first row as a column name. But here it is different. There is no header at all. So we have to explicitly mention header equal to none. And index column is like a serial number for rows in the data frame, and we are telling we do not actually you can give a particular column as an index also. Here we are going to tell we are not going to give any particular column as an index. So default index like 0 to n will be given. If there are totally n rows, then the index will be from 0 to n minus 1, right? So before running this particular cell, we have to upload the marks.txt file. So to upload the marks.txt, what we have to do is, we have to click on this files icon, wait for 1 or 2 seconds, you will see this upload button coming up. We have to click on this. When we click on this, it will take you to the location. We can browse and go to the location where this marks.txt is available. I will share it in the GitHub. You take it and put it in a particular location in your machine, and then you have to click on this and give open. Actually I have already uploaded, so I need not upload it again. Then after you successfully upload, you must be able to see here marks.txt. It is better to go for Chrome browser. I had some issues when I was trying with Firefox. Generally Firefox works fine, but this dataset is little bit bigger. It is of some 6 MB, so I had little bit of issues. So I tried with Chrome. It's working fine. You can also try with Chrome. After you successfully upload the upload the dataset, you have to run the cell. This will create a data frame. Now the name of the data frame is SSLC, right? So now we can work with this data frame. Few functions are to display the records in the data frame. We have got head function, we have got tail function. From the name itself we can understand that head function will print few top rows of the data frame, and tail will print few last rows of the data frame. Now let us give head. By default head will print 5 rows. So you can see here top 5 rows are getting printed, right? And you can see the column names. Since we have not given any column name in the file, Pandas is giving from 0 to 10. Totally there are 11 columns. So the column names are from 0 to 10. This is not nice, isn't it? We don't feel comfortable with these column names. So what we are going to do is, now we are going to give name for the columns. How we can give us data frame dot columns equal to, you give a list of strings. Those list of strings will be given as the column name for each of the thing in the data frame. So first column name is going to be region. Next one is roll underscore number. Next one is FL indicating first language. Next one is SL indicating second language. Next is math, SCI for science, SS for social science. I have given total for total marks, pass for the field indicating whether it is the student has passed or failed, withheld and extra. So these are all the field names. And after this I am going to display the top 7 rows. If we are not giving any argument, then head will display the top 5, but you can pass an argument also. You can tell I want to display 7 rows or I want to display only 2 rows. Like that you can pass the value. Here I have given 7, so the top 7 rows will be displayed. Now you can see the column names have come as what we have given, region, roll number and so on. So the data frame is now ready. Now we are going to see how pandas help us to know the general attributes of the data frame. So what will be the general attributes of the data frame? So before that we will have a picture of a data frame. So look at this data frame. We have got some name, team, number like this. We will call these as columns, these as rows, and each and every cell will be called as a data. Right? This is how generally we refer to the elements in the data frame. So now we are going to see how Pandas has provided some either attributes or functions to know about the data frame, generally about what are the variables present, what values are present, like that. The first attribute that is present is size. Actually, size will return the number of data, that is the number of cells in the data frame. So totally we have got 6,81,087 records, and we can know the number of non-null values in each column. This is not null, there is a typo. We can know the number of non-null values in each column by using the count function. This is a function, that is an attribute. There we should not use braces, but for count we have to use braces since it is a function. This will display how many non-null values are there in each of the column. We can see here for region we have got 61,917, and for roll number we have got these many, like that. And next we are going to see how to see the shape of the data frame. Actually, shape will tell how many rows and how many columns are present. It will return actually a tuple indicating the number of rows and the number of columns. Totally there are 61,917 rows and 11 columns. And we can know the dimension of the data frame. Generally it will be two-dimensional only. So we say it is two-dimensional. Next we are going to see how we can see a summary about the data frame. What is meant by summary is it will be telling us how many fields are present and how many are non-null, and what is the data type of the column when it is reading. So let us give this info function. This info function will help us to know the details about the data frame. So when we give this info, we see that region with 61,917 non-null values, and look at the data type, it is object. Why it is object is A, B, C, D, these are all strings of course, but pandas will use object type for strings also. There is no string data type in pandas. Instead it will look as a object data type. Next is roll number. Roll number, as we have seen, they are just numbers, so it is taking it as integer. Next we can see the marks scored by the student in the first language. When we look at it, something different we can see, that is the data type is object. Why it is object? We have to find out, because they are also numbers only, but why it is object we have to check, and we have to do some changes so that that value also becomes a numerical value. And then math is also now object, science is also object, social science object, but total is float, right? And pass is object, because they have used P for indicating pass, it's a string, and for withheld also we are saying it's object, for extra it's float. And we have got a interesting function n unique. What is the purpose of n unique is, n unique will tell us how many unique values are there in each of the column of the data frame. So when we run it, we can see that here there are totally 6 unique values, 6 different values are there in the region field, and for roll number it's a unique thing for each and every student, isn't it? So 61,917 values, unique values or different values are present. And when you see the first language marks, 96 different values are present. Second language marks, 94 different values are present. Mathematics, 99 different values. Science, 96 different values. And for social science there are 95 different values, and total we have got 449 different values. For pass we have got only 1, because even they haven't used F for fail. Instead, it's a null value. So it is only 1, and for withheld also we have got 1, and for extra there is no value at all, right? Because extra is empty for every record. So there is no, there is 0 number of different values are present. This is what we understand. So there are few fishy things. Why the marks are object and so on, right? So we can do some analysis and find out. Before that, we will see one more thing, that is the statistical description about the data frame, right? So what is meant by statistical description is, it will give some explanation, some few statistical measures for each of the column in the data frame. So we can have basically at least 2 types of columns. One is numerical, other one is non-numerical. That is, it can be categorical, or it can be like very different. All the values are different, like that. Okay. So what this statistical description will tell us, for numerical value, for numerical columns, it will tell like what is the maximum value, what is the minimum value, what is the mean, and so on, right? And for non-numerical values, it will tell like what is the frequency of a particular value, how many different values are present, what is the frequency of values, which is the most frequent, like that. Few measures will be given. And by default, when we are using describe is the method to get this description about the data frame. When we give describe without any argument, by default it will show only for numerical attributes. When we were using the info, we saw that only 3 numerical attributes are present. That is, we had other things as object. So we had like roll number, and then total, extra, only the 3 numerical attributes. So when we give slc.describe, we see the description only for these 3 values, and you can see that for numerical, what it is displaying, count. Count is going to tell how many non-null values are present. Totally 6197 roll numbers are non-null. For total, it is 61916. So we can understand one null value is there. What is meant by null value is, if it is empty, then it will be treated as null value. And then mean. Mean is going to tell the average, right? And STD is standard deviation. Min is going to tell minimum. Max is going to tell maximum. And you can see for extra, these are NaN. NaN means not a number. Why? Because this extra field itself is totally not available. All the elements are not available. So we cannot find mean or standard deviation for that particular column. And what about this 25%, 50 and 75 is? These are all going to be like quantiles, which tells 25808 is the number, okay, is the roll number, and below which 25% of the records have got value. Or I can tell 25% of the students have scored marks less than or equal to 240, and 50% of the students have scored marks less than or equal to 299. So this quantile will tell basically what is the value below which the records are present. Or how I can tell this is, the value will be arranged in ascending order. For example, for total, if you are going to find out what is 25%, 50% and so on, you will arrange the value in ascending order, and then you have to split it into 4, right? 4 equal parts. And the first part, right, that is 25%. The maximum in that is going to be the 25% quantile. And the maximum value in the 50% is going to be 299, right? And the maximum in the third one is 366. So what we can understand is 366 is the mark what is scored by 75% less than, okay, 75% of students have scored less than or equal to 366 marks. That's what we can understand when we are going to use these measures, right? This will give some understanding about the data set. And as I told you, if we are not going to pass any argument to describe, it will only give description about numerical attributes. Suppose if you want to see about non-numerical attributes, then we can do like this: include equal to. There you can pass a keyword argument include, for which you can pass list of type of arguments. Now I have given us object, so it will display only object, right, other than numerical. Here in this data frame we have only two type of data. One is object, other one is numerical. Since we have given here as object, only object will come, other three will not come. You can see these are all the statistical measures given by pandas. Count, right? This is non-null values, how many non-null values are there, and unique is going to tell how many different values are there. Top, so top is going to tell which particular unique value is most frequent. That's what is meant by top. And then frequency is going to tell how many times this particular top has occurred, right? So this is 14036. That's what we understand. Next is we can also use exclude. Include means it will include everything, right? Include a particular list of data types. Exclude is for excluding a particular list of data types, except this all other thing will be included. So if we tell exclude equal to object, in this case the data frame is going to contain except object everything, right? That is all the numerical values. Once again we will get what we saw without any argument only in this particular case. And also you can give another one argument for describe, that is include equal to all. When you tell include equal to all, it will give description, statistical description about all the fields. You can see here totally there are 11 fields, so all details about 11 fields have come, and you will see here certain things are not applicable. For example, when we are saying about first language, it is a numerical thing. We will have count anyway that is present, but we will say top is not available for that, right? Of course top is present. We will see this is object, sorry, this is object. For roll number it is a numerical value, so you can see here unique is not applicable, so it is saying NaN, top is NaN, and frequency NaN. Still we haven't made any changes, so this first language, second language, max, marks, everything is treated as object only. So only we are seeing these fields have got unique, top, frequency, and so on. Yeah. Next we are going to see how many number of bytes are consumed by the data frame. There is an option for checking it. For the entire data frame we can just tell the data frame name dot memory usage. So it will tell for each field how many bytes are being used. For index 128 bytes because it's integer, so only less number of bytes are used. For region we have got 49,005 and 4,95,336 bytes, and so on. And for specific columns, if you want to know how many bytes are used, for entire data frame we will give memory usage, but for a particular field if you want to know, or particular column if you want to know, then we will use the data frame name and then dot pass and then n bytes, right? So you can use like this, it will give you how many bytes are present. And next what we are going to discuss is about accessing a column in a data frame. How we can refer to a column? Already we have seen we can use the square bracket for accessing the column as we have done here. Yes. If you give SLC within square bracket region, then we will see the regions present for all the records, right? This is one way. In this case we have to put the column name within quotes. But there is one more way for doing it. That is by using dot operator. So let me just print all the column names before doing it. How you can print all the column names is data frame dot columns. If you just tell like this, it will print the list of column names of the data frame. And how you can access column using other way is give the data frame name and then dot followed by the name of the column, and we need not put any quotes or anything for the column name. Whereas if we use square bracket, there are two ways to access. One is using square bracket where we have to put the column name within quotes. Within the square bracket we can give like what we have done here, or else we can just use the dot operator and give the column name also. This is also fine, and this dot operator will be helpful in certain situations, but in all the situations square brackets will be helpful. What I try to say is, in some cases if your column name is having some space or something, then it is not possible to use dot. We have to go for only square brackets and within quotes. So it's our convenience, we can use, but it depends on the column names and other type of values, other type of things also, when we are going to choose the way in which we are going to access the column. Next we are going to talk about how to retrieve a row. So what I mean by retrieving a row is, suppose I want to print this particular row, how I can do it, right? So by default pandas is giving index, right? As I was telling in the beginning, from 0 to n-1 will be the index values given for the rows in the data frame. So if I want to print the row using the index given by pandas, then I have to use this function ILOC, right? So let me just relate once again. When we are going to access a column name, we can just use square brackets. But when you want to access a row, we have to use LOC or ILOC. First I am telling about ILOC. When we have to use ILOC is if we are going to use the index given by pandas. Okay, internally pandas will be maintaining indexes, right? This column will be given 0, next one will be given 1, and so on. If there are totally n rows, then you will have n-1 is the maximum index, right? So if I want to use the index given by pandas, then I will be using this ILOC. So I am telling ILOC of 0. 0 means it is the first index internally maintained, right? So you will see that the first record's value is getting displayed, A, and then 10,001, 53, 36, those values are getting printed. Now we are going to do one particular thing, that is by default when we were loading the file, we gave index column equal to none, right? We didn't make any column as index, and pandas is using the internal indexing from 0 to n-1. We have used that and we have displayed a row. Now we are going to make a particular field as an index. We are going to make roll number as the index because we know that it is unique, so we can make that as an index. How you can do is, there is an option, there is a function called as set index. Using set index we can make any column to be an index. So we are giving here slc.setIndex roll number, and one more argument we have to give, that is in place equal to true. Why we have to give this in place equal to true is, if we are not giving this in place equal to true, pandas will create a new data frame with a roll number as the index. The original data frame, that is the SLC data frame, will not be changed. If you want the change to be done in that particular data frame itself, then we have to give in place equal to true. Yeah. So now we have got indexing by the user also. We have given a column to be used as index, that is the roll number. So I can refer to this particular row by using this 10,001 also. For that we have to use the LOC function. ILOC is for internal indexing, LOC is for the user defined index, right? User has now defined the roll number to be the index. So for that we have to use the LOC function. Now you can see that the same row only will be printed. I can use either ILOC. Once again we can do and see after this also SLC dot ILOC of 0, right? This will also refer to the first column only. Sorry, not column, row. First row only. Or else when I tell SLC.LOC of 10,001, that will also refer to the first row only, because we have made the roll number to be the index, right? Roll number is made as the index. This is the index defined by the user, so that can also be used, or else we can use the internal indexing maintained by Pandas. For using the internal indexing, we have to use ILOC. Next is how we can access a data in the data frame, a particular column. For example, if I want to know what is the mark secured by the student in first language, suppose if I want to know that, right, how I can do? For that, at function is used. As we have ILOC and LOC, for at also we have got IAT and at. When we will go for IAT is, see, when we want to refer to this mark, I have to give two things. One is the row number, another one is the column number. That's how we can refer to the cell in a data frame or a data in a data frame, right? So it will take two arguments. When we will go for IAT is when I am going to use both internally defined values, right? Though we have given now column names, we should also understand that internally column indexes are being maintained by Pandas. We have got totally 11 columns. So the column index from 0 to 10 will be internally maintained. 0 will refer to a region and 1 will refer to roll number and so on, right? Since we have made now roll number as the index, 1 will refer to the first language now, right? So this roll number, we have made it as a index now. So it is like it has gone to the left. It is outside the, of course it's part of the data frame, but it is like the serial number, right? So this is 0, this will become 1, right? So how I can refer to the mark of the first student, first language mark of the first student is, I will tell 0 and then 1, right? So you see it is printing as 53. And other one is, you can also use at function. When we will use at function is when we are going to use the indices given by the programmer. As a programmer, we have given the column names as FL, SL, roll underscore number and so on. If I want to use that, and I have given the indexing as the roll number. If I want to use those things to refer to a particular data, then I have to use this at function. So to the same mark, I can refer as 10,001 comma FL. This will also give me the same mark. And we can know how many null values are there, and how we can do is, we can use the isNull function dot sum. Actually isNull function will return for each row true and false, right? Whether it is, if it is null, it will give true. If it is false, it will give, if it is not null, it will give false. So when I use isNull.sum, it will tell me how many rows are going to be having null values, right? So for region, there is no null value at all. For first language, we see there is one null value. For second language, for each of the languages, we see one null values are there. For pass, so many null values. For withheld, this much, right? Now, one question we had in mind, we are going to we are going to analyze more about it. We were saying that the marks secured by the candidate in first language, second language, mathematics, science, everything is object, right? Everything is read as object. Why did Pandas read it as object, right? Whereas for roll number, it read it as a number, and for total also it read it as a number. But why these marks were read as object, right? For that, when we want to know that, unique function can be used. The purpose of unique function is to display the unique values in a particular column. So I am telling SLC FL, I am referring to the column first language dot unique. When I tell, I see the unique numbers, and you see here there is AA. AA indicates absent. Okay, so there are students who have got absent in few examinations. So only we see that since AA is there, it is not treating that particular column as a numerical value. What we can do? We can replace this AA by not a number, right? There is a null value. For null values, we can use NP. NP is numpy. NumPy dot NaN. This is null value, right? So what we are doing here is we are using the replace function, and we are going to change, right, the absent in each of the column. All the subjects we are going to take, we are going to replace the absent by null value. So where is the null value is? It is in NumPy package as NaN. So we are going to use that, and we are going to replace, but the replacement should be done in the particular data frame itself. For that, we have to give an additional argument for the function, for the replace function, that is in place equal to true. If we miss to give this in place equal to true, then a new column will be created. No, that should not happen. We want the changes to happen in the same data frame. So we are telling SLC of FL dot replace, what should be replaced? AA should be replaced. Replaced by what? Null value. For that we are using np.nan, and the change should happen in the same data frame itself. So we are telling in place equal to true, right? And how you can find this already we have done. How we can find unique values is just by giving unique, and after changing the null values, we can change the data type of the column. If we change the data type, then only we can do the numerical operations, right? If it is like object, then we cannot do numerical operations. We have to change the data type to numerical, then only we can do all like greater than, less than, addition, everything we can do. Whatever we can do with numerical data, that is possible only if the column is changed to numerical value. So to convert it, there is one more option. I have used here two numeric. There is a purpose. Otherwise, we have got another one function called as type. We can use that also. I have prepared a PDF also about the functions, useful functions. I will be sharing this also in the GitHub. So as type function will help us to convert a particular column's data type. But here we are going to use two numeric. Why? Because when we have got null values, as type will not work. It will raise an error. But two numeric has got a option, errors equal to coerce. When you tell like this will ignore the null values, right? Errors generated by null values will be ignored when we give this option, that is keyword argument, errors equal to coerce. So we are going to use that, and we are going to convert all the fields, first language, second language, mathematics, science, social science, all these fields are converted to numeric, and we have to store it in the column also. Please note that if we just tell two numeric, it will not work. It will create a new column. We have to replace in the data frame. Okay, so this two numeric will take a column and it will convert to numeric and return a new column. So we have to replace in the data frame so that the changes are getting reflected. So yeah, now we have converted to numeric. Now we can call the info function and see. We can note that now first language, second language, everything has become float. The data type of all the fields are now float for these fields, right? Yeah, you can see the number of bytes once again. You can check it, right? Now we can use the describe function. It will give for all the numerical attributes since we are not passing anything. Of course, everything has whatever marks, all the marks have been changed to numerical. So you can see description about that, right? And it is possible to create sub data frames also. How we can create sub data frames is, if you want to have a data frame with only the object fields, right? It is possible based on the data type, right? it's possible to create a new data frame. So I'm calling this as a filter data frame, and I'm telling non-numeric equal to slc dot. We have got a function select underscore d types. We can use it, and as we are giving in describe, here also you can tell include equal to. You can specify the data types which should be included. Like this we can create sub data frames. And next we are saying still more statistical measures of columns. Already we know that when we give describe, all these statistical measures are getting displayed, but in certain situations if you want to know a maximum value of a particular column, it is possible. We have to tell SLC of total, that is a particular column in the data frame you are referring, dot max. This will give the maximum mark, min will give minimum mark, mean will give the average, median will give the median value, region is the, now we have to just think, region is categorical. There are totally 6 regions, right? So it will not have mean or median, but mode will be there. And we are saying that the most frequent appearing is A, right? And we can see the standard deviation that is possible. Now just to confirm about the mode that we got, we can see the different counts, right? We know already that region is categorical and there are 6 categories from A to F. If you want to know how many times A has occurred, how many times B has occurred, then it is possible by using this value underscore counts. When you use this value underscore counts function, it will return how many times each of the value has occurred. So you see here A has occurred 14,036 times, F is the next frequent thing, it has occurred 11,635 and so on. C is the least frequent, which has occurred 7,368. And now we can see after replacing, now we have finished replacing, now you see the null values. You will see the null values would have increased. Initially I think we had only 1, but now you see there are so many null values. Why? Because we have replaced AA by null value. So the number of null values has increased. And we can list the, now we are going to do more analysis on the pass field. So we see how many unique values are there in the pass field. When we saw the file itself, we saw that they have given P for pass and for fail they haven't given anything, isn't it? So we see that NaN and P. If there are no values in a particular column of a record, then pandas will store their NaN. Okay, so value counts will tell how many times the values have occurred. P has occurred 52,080 times, right? And this is null.sum will also tell how many times the null values has occurred, 9,837. Now we want to replace the null value in the pass column. How it is possible? There is a built-in function fillNA. By using the fillNA function, we can replace the null values in the pass column by F, because those are fail, right? So we are telling SLC of pass equal to, we have to once again make a note that fillNA will create a new column. It will not make the replacement in the data frame. It will take the column, okay, it will operate on a column and create a new column. So we have to replace it in the data frame. So we have to say SLC of pass equal to SLC of pass dot fillNA. After this we can use the value counts. Now we see we have got P as well as F. Similarly, we can see how many withheld are there. We see totally there are 45 withheld. Other things are null values. Next, we are going to see a very interesting thing in pandas, that is conditional indexing, right? So before going into conditional indexing, this is also basically conditional indexing only. How to create a sub data frame with only withheld results, okay, with the candidates records whose results are withheld. If we want to create a new data frame, then that is possible. How we can do is, this is the name of the new data frame. You are telling SLC, that is the existing data frame, Within the square brackets, we are going to tell SLC of withheld equal to W. This is what we tell as conditional indexing. We already know that within the square bracket we will be giving some values to refer to a particular row or a column. But here we will give a condition. So only this is called as a conditional indexing. So now you will see that SLC underscore WH will have records whose results were withheld, right? Yeah. Next, we are going to see how you can combine multiple conditions. One condition, yeah, of course we can give within square brackets, and we can use logical operators like AND or XOR for combining multiple conditions also. Now what we are going to do is, we are going to create a data frame which is going to contain records of students who scored more than 75 in first language as well as second language, right? Let me call the new data frame as FL underscore AND underscore SL. We are going to create from the SLC data frame, so SLC, and within the brackets we have to give the condition. And there are two conditions. Each condition has to be given within the parenthesis. Please note that this parenthesis is very important, otherwise we will get error. We have to put each condition within parenthesis. The first condition is, I am telling that the first language should be greater than 75. How will I know? How will I indicate it? SLC of first language, right? That particular column should be greater than 75. And how do we use AND here is single ampersand is used. In Pandas, for logical connection, we will use single ampersand for AND, right? And once again open the parenthesis. For starting the second condition, you are telling SLC of SL greater than 75. Finish the brace, right? So this will create a data frame of students who have scored more than 75 in both first language as well as second language. You can see the values. Of course, every student would have got more than 75 in both of the languages. Next, we are going to see how to create a data frame with students who have scored either in first language greater than 75, either in first language or in second language. For that, we can use the logical OR operator. Logical OR operator in Pandas is single pipeline symbol. We are telling here SLC of first language greater than 75 or SLC of second language greater than 75. And this new data frame is FL or SL. Now you can see the marks. You will see that one of the value will be greater than 75. It's not required, both should be greater than 75, right? Yeah, I can just print few records also. For clarity, we can do that and check. FL underscore or underscore SL dot head of 5. This will print the top 5 records. Of course, in this all the first language are having greater than minute. We can now use tail to display the last few records. Tail of 5. In this both have got greater. Let us tell like head of 50. Let us try that. Maybe it is in sorted order or something. Tail head of 50. Yes, we can note that here also the second language mark. Either one, that is the condition. So we will be having records which are having one of the subject markers greater than 75. And XOR is also possible. For XOR, we will be using this cap symbol. The purpose of XOR is if the student has scored in one of the language, he should have not scored in both the language, then we can go for this XOR. So we can tell XOR of, when you display it, you can note that the student has scored greater than 75 in first language but in second language lesser, greater in the first but lesser in the second one, and towards the end also greater in the one of the language, not in both also, then we can use XOR. It's like the bitwise operators only. Next, suppose if you want to find like the number of pass and pass values, right, region wise, that is in region A how many students have passed and how many have failed, in region B how many students have passed and how many have failed. Like this, if we want to know, then pandas help us by giving a function called as group by. This group by will help us to group the data, and then we can see, we can apply over it any of the aggregate thing. Even we can find out what is the maximum value and so on, right? Now we are grouping by region, and then we are going to take pass, right? Pass and then value counts. So this will display us region wise how many students have passed and how many have failed. We can see here 11,310 students have passed, 2,726 students have failed, and so on. And any aggregate function can be applied after we do group by. Now we are telling group by region, right? And in this, if I want to know the first language maximum mark, then I can do this. So it is telling the first language maximum mark region wise. In all the regions it is 97 except D. In D region it is 98. Like this we can find maximum, or we can tell, we can find maximum mark for max. Everywhere it is 100. We can find the minimum marks. So you can see the minimum region wise. In A region it is 2 max minimum mark. Like this, we can apply any aggregate function after you do group by. You can group by any categorical thing. And next, what we are going to discuss is a very interesting thing, finding out the number of first language results that are withheld, right? So how you can do is, if it is withheld, you can tell, this is just going to tell the first language missing values, not withheld, it can be absent also. It is telling how many null values are missing, how many first language marks are missing. That's what we are seeing by giving is null dot sum. And next is, this is very interesting, using conditional indexing, we can create a data frame where the total is greater than or equal to 300. That is, students who have scored more than 60%, we can form it like SLC underscore 60 is the new data frame name, and then we are going to create the data frame from the original data frame SLC and give the condition within the square brackets. When we are giving the condition, we are going to concentrate on the field total greater than or equal to 300, and you can find out how many records are there, count, right? Non-null values will be printed. And also we can insert a new column. That is, sometimes we want to add some columns, we want to have something like derived attributes. If you want to bring, you can do it, right? What we are going to do here is, we are going to add a new column as 3. We will add it as 3. I am going to add a column to find out the language total. We have got first language mark, second language mark. Now I am going to add a column to give language total, right? So this region is at 0, this is at 1, this is at 2. After these 2 marks, I want the column to be inserted. So I tell insert 3. This is the position where it will be added, and then I am telling the title for the column, that is language total, and next I am telling the initial value, that should be 0, right? When we run, we can see that a new column is inserted after the first language and the second language. Now we are going to write a function to add the numbers, right? Just this function will add 2 numbers, that's all. So in Python we have written a function which will take 2 parameters and then add it. Now what we are going to do is, we are going to apply this particular function for the language total column, and we are going to find the total marks secured by the student in the languages, right? So how we can do it is, we have to tell SLC of language total equal to, we are calling the function, just we can call the function total, right? Total, and we are going to pass the first language mark and the second language mark. This is enough. This will be taken care by pandas by a concept called as broadcasting. What is meant by broadcasting is, we are giving a column name equal to, and we are telling, we are calling a function total, right? This total, we are passing the column names whose values have to be taken. That's all. Automatically automatically pandas will do it for each row. For this particular row, it will take 53 and 36 as the values and call the function. And for the next time 58 and 37 and call the function. You can see that the total is correctly given, right? And it will assign to the particular row's language total also. This is possible by a concept called as broadcasting, which is present in NumPy as well as pandas. So now we have added in a column where we are finding the total of first language and second language by using a function. Yeah, so these are all the basic operations and functions that are available in pandas, which will help us to do exploratory data analysis and so on. I have made, as I told, I have made a PDF also. This PDF also I will be sharing in the GitHub, which will be like a quick reference for you to understand. This PDF contains like function name, and then what is the syntax, purpose, then any remarks I have added. Sometimes like we have to give in place equal to true, those details I have given. And I also have segregated the functions into groups like this. These are all the functions that are helpful for reading records. This is for column names. Like that I have made it simple for every one of us to remember. Thank you.